And now, Mr. Bareface.
Hello there, and welcome to Mr. Bareface. I've always been a massive Back to the Future fan, and was super excited when the news broke that the musical was coming to New York City. When opening day tickets became available, I had to have them and needed the best seats I could grab. With a bit of luck and $650 lighter, my wife and I had a killer date night planned. The big day arrived, and we got there nice and early. I met Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis, who were nice enough to schmooze and take photos with fans. I was able to tell them both how much Back to the Future meant to me and how excited I was to see them. Once inside, you could tell they put a lot of effort into the look of the theater. However, it looked more like we stepped onto the set of Tron, with all the blue circuit board lights lacing the entire room. Before I go any further, this review has spoilers. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get into the good, the lazy, and the woke aspects of Back to the Future, the musical. Marty McFly is played by Casey Likes, who did a fantastic job with what he was given to work with. I'll be saying that again for Doc Brown. Casey embodied Marty, and for moments you feel nostalgic, like you are watching a young Michael J. Fox. Marty is never shown riding a skateboard, which to me is blasphemy. Anyway, the first scene, you see Marty enter Doc Brown's house, where he plugs his guitar into the massive speaker that blows up after one power chord. Only this huge speaker is just 1 yard small. Where was the set designer for this? Many aspects of the set designs feel like they just ran out of money. The first money shot was when Dr. Emmett Brown, played by Roger Bart, presents to us the iconic souped-up DeLorean. That gave me goosebumps. Roger is charismatic, and his comedic timing is spot on. The scene starts as movie accurate, however. This scene takes a turn that ends up affecting the movie down the road. Doc Brown does not get offed by Libyans. I understand the change. I guess people don't want their kids witnessing someone getting a barrage of bullets to the chest. But the updated story would have Doc Brown instead rip his pants when he bends over to pick up the plutonium in his radiation suit, making Brown the butt of the joke, and in turn a series of nonsensical plot points. There isn't a logical reason for Marty to jump into the DeLorean and go 88 miles per hour. Later in the movie, Doc watches himself on the portable movie studio and witnesses himself dying of radiation poisoning. The letter Marty writes to Doc makes no sense because he isn't telling Doc anything he doesn't already know. This makes the tone of the ending feel incredibly odd every time they mention the letter, which is a lot. When Marty first sees 1955's Hill Valley, they did a fun song and dance montage that had the feel of the movie. The newspaper, the gas station, everyone in period clothing, and I can't forget to mention the pause in the song when the lyrics say, "Hill Valley is a great place to live if you're white and male." Let's hold the song right there for a bit so it doesn't go unnoticed. I don't know why I was surprised. How could it be complete in this day and age without inserting some woke or patriarchal comments? But don't you worry, we also get a scene where someone calls Marty white trash. Music and lyrics by Emmy and Grammy Award winner Alan Silvestri and 6-time Grammy Award winner Glenn Ballard. Great stuff, guys. George McFly, played by Hugh Coles, is the musical's hilarious standout. From the first moment he came on the stage to the last time you see him waving goodbye to the crowd, George McFly was this production's best written and performed character. Stepping into the impossible shoes of Crispin Glover, Cole's rubber-limbed George McFly has all the grace of a newborn deer and piercing chuckles that border on blubbering. You always empathize with him and root for him on the edge of your seat like you don't know the story's ending. I only wish they would have put in the scene where Marty comes to George as Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. They could have had time for this if they didn't feel the need to shoehorn filler songs and focus on things that didn't elevate the plot that I'll fill you in on in a bit. Yeah, no Darth Vader. But they decided to add a horribly cringe scene where Marty pulls a lightsaber on Biff when they have their chase scene. The crowd loved it, but I sat in my seat with my hands over my face feeling bad for the actors. And no, Marty isn't on his skateboard during this scene. It instead has Biff chasing Marty around some lockers inside Hill Valley High School. From the dialogue to the set design, this scene made me try to hide in my seat, embarrassed for the people sitting around me who were obviously friends, family, and people who have a stake in this show's success. I would tell you about Biff and Lorraine, but both actors didn't have much to work with. At times I forgot they were in the musical until they showed up in scene. They did, however, have the time for a musical number, backstory, and more for Goldie Wilson. Yeah, I know you were all clamoring for that. Goldie was played by Jelani Remy, who really deserves his own show. That guy has what it takes to be a success in acting. You leave the show really liking Goldie Wilson. However, it ate up time that should have been used to prop up Biff and Lorraine. As for set design, there were some blaring issues. I already mentioned the incredibly small, huge speaker in the beginning, But how about a non-existing car for Marty, Lorraine, Biff, and George to interact with at the Marty takes advantage of Lorraine scene? Yeah, there isn't a car. Marty and Lorraine are just sitting on a bench in the middle of the stage. Did they run out of money? They didn't run out of imagination, however. Marty is pretending to have his hands on the wheel of the car. Biff swings open the fictitious car door to remove Marty. George also approaches the invisible car and opens the imaginary door. This entire scene felt like I paid $650 to see a high school play. Earlier, I mentioned that Marty was called white trash. After Biff pulls Marty from the car, he has his goons get rid of him by throwing him into a dumpster. One guy locks Marty inside with a padlock that he apparently always keeps on his person. The band finds someone in the dumpster and they work to release him. Once freed, one of them turns to the audience and says, "Now that's what I call white trash." That's right, they even paused to make sure it sunk in with the audience, who half laughed uncomfortably. From this point on, besides the whole letter to Doc Brown, the show picks up and feels like what a Broadway show should be. The stormy weather effects, the DeLorean speeding down the road, Doc Brown hanging from the clock tower, the DeLorean effects of going back to 1985, all leading to the DeLorean taking flight. That's definitely where the budget for the show went to. All that made the show worth it for me. I know I've been pretty harsh, but it really was worth the experience. I guess I just expected better. The show had to compete with my love for one of my favorite movies of all time. And quite frankly, it was an impossible feat. Well, that's my first video for this channel. Please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm also curious how the London version differs from the New York version. Thanks for listening.
Mr. Bareface would greatly appreciate it if you could take a brief moment to like this video, and we hope to have earned your subscription.